Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. Brandon again. Today I want to talk about some things that I've been doing to help eliminate and minimize the amount of knee cave I have. Hopefully you guys have noticed this over the past couple of weeks and months that my knee cave and squats have been looking a lot better, and I really attribute it to three main things which I'm going to cover in today's video. Now as part of this, again, it's helped me minimize it, but not always completely eliminate it. Anytime you're talking about overly fatigue or really high intensities, you're going to have some form breakdown, and for me that includes knee caving. But through these three other things that I've been trying to actively do, I have found that my squats and knees have been doing better overall, and I'd like to share them with you today because maybe it might help you. Now the first thing I want to mention is something that seems overly obvious, and it's a cue that everyone hears, which is keep your knees out. You'll hear a lot of people scream this: knees out, knees out, knees out. And to be honest, this cue never really helped me, mostly because I don't really have that mobility in my hips to really get my knees out very far. And what I would find end up happening is I'd try to push them out so far to a point where it was hard for me to maintain that position. It could lead to some knee pain overall, or I just really ended up collapsing anyways just because I couldn't really sink my mind into that cue. What has instead helped me is just thinking about it in a different way. So instead of thinking knees out, I just try to think of not having my knees come in. And it sounds stupid because in theory it's the same thing, but what I try to maintain is my knees tracking over my feet as normal, but as I'm pushing up and exploding through the hole, I really try to maintain that position and just not let them come in. And to be honest, it has helped me a lot. So just a different way of thinking about that cue that you've all probably tried to use before. The next thing I want to talk about is my foot position. So for me, I do angle my feet out slightly, but as part of that, as an example, if I were to stand straight up and down with my toes pointed forward, I have a lot of travel in my knee from side to side, meaning that there's not a huge range of motion that's needed in order for my knees to come in and touch. So what I try to do is take my foot position and actually extend it or angle them out slightly more than I used to. Not a ton, because again, you want to make sure that you're in a good position, and you also want to make sure that your mobility allows for it. But by having my feet slightly angled out more than I was doing in the past, what I found is that my knees don't travel in as much because of the angle. In fact, they now travel at a little bit more of an diagonal, if you will, which increases the range of motion needed for them to actually come in. So just a small change, but it does make a big difference in how my knees can travel. And lastly, I want to talk about the thing that's probably helped me the most, and that is my actual feet and trying to ground them a little bit more. Now, you guys may or may not have seen a video by Chris Duffin about rooting your feet in. If you haven't, I think I'll try to link it in the description box. It's a fantastic video. But as part of that, and I'm going to use my hands as an example because I don't think you want to see my crusty ass feet in 4K, but Chris talks a lot about kind of spreading your toes and spreading the floor with your feet. I can't really do that. I don't have a lot of mobility in my body, and that extends down to my toes. My toes are pretty much where they are. I can't get them any wider. I can't get any more grip. Instead, what I try to do is just grip and plant my feet down and really dig in that sense. And Chris does have some exercises which include, sticking your finger in your toes to try to widen them. I've tried that, but when you have big hands and not very mobile feet, and it just gets pretty nasty, and to be honest, I just don't have time to do that, nor do I really care to. But what I do instead is I really try to dig all of my toes in, and what that does is it again helps from the top all the way down to the bottom of my body. Because what happens is when I tighten my feet or tighten my base, I feel that tightness extend throughout my whole system, which is really nice. So again, as an example, if I'm just standing there with my toes kind of unflexed or not dug into the ground, my legs have a lot of movement to them. But if I try to actively dig my feet in and be more rooted, if you will, I find that overall my legs don't move much at all. So when you combine that with having my feet slightly angled out and then actively thinking of not letting my knees come in, I found that my knee cave has lessened over the last couple of weeks and has felt really good. Again, it hasn't completely eliminated, especially when you're talking about heavy loads or being overly fatigued, but the more I can minimize it in training and the more reps I can get with good form, I think the more that's going to carry over to eventually leading to me being stronger overall and hopefully not having it happen as often, or being able to be stronger in that position when I am overly fatigued or maxing out. So try those out. Hope they help you. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comment section below, or if you have cues that have found have helped you and you want to share them, that's great. In the meantime, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next video.